Today we're going to talk about how to make change. There's a couple of steps that if you always follow, they'll always end up with the right answer. So, the first thing you want to do is to start with the price, what it is that you are buying. In my example, it says the shirt costs $13.64, so I'm going to start with the coins in my price, the 64. Then it says count by pennies until you get to a multiple of 10, until you get to 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, or a dollar. So I'm at 64. I'm going to count by pennies until I get to something that ends in a 0. So I'd say 65, 66, 67, 68, 69, 70. Notice I started with 64 and I said that since that was part of the price, but then I went to 65, 66, 67, 68, 69, 70. I stopped when I said 70 because I've come a multiple of 10, it has a 0 at the end of it. Now I'm ready to count by dimes until I get to a new dollar. That means I'm skip counting by tens. So I'm up to 70. If I have a dime, that would give me 80. Another dime would give me 90. Another dime would give me 100, which is a new dollar. Now it says, remember, you have one more dollar than what the cost gave. I no longer have $13. I now have $14 because I had $13.64, $13.65, $13.66, $13.67, $13.68, $13.69, $13.70, $13.80, $13.90. Once I added that last dime, that gives me $14. This 64 cents and all these pennies and dimes put together makes a new dollar, so I'm up to $14. Says then I need to count by dollars until I get to my dollar amount that I gave the clerk. I gave the clerk $15. I have $14. That means I need one more dollar back in order to go from $14 to $15. The last thing I need to do is add up my change. I start with my dollars, so I had $1. Then I go to my dimes. I had 10, 20, 30, and then pennies, I had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So altogether my change was $1.36. Let's try another one without those steps written out right in front of us. You purchased an item that cost $2.79 and paid with a $5 bill. How much change should you receive? Place the change in the box. First thing we want to do is to actually start with the change in the price that we paid, the $79. Then we want to count by pennies until we get to something that ends in a 0. So I'm at 79. 1 penny is going to bring me up to 80. That's where I want to be. Now I can count by dimes, count by tens to get up to that new dollars. So 279, 280, 290, $3. Remember, I no longer have $2. Once I get up to that 100 cents, I'm up to a new dollar, so I'm up to $3. Now I want to count by dollars to get up to $5. I'm at $3. So I'd have $4, $5. The final step, remember, is to count my money that I have left, or the money that I've gotten back as change. I start with dollars, so I have $2. Then I go to my dimes. I have 2 dimes, so that's 20 cents. And finally, pennies. There's only one, so that's $2.21. Can you help me solve this one? It says you purchase an item that costs $15.02 and paid $20. How much change would you receive? What do I start with? If you said the 2 cents and 15.02, you'd be correct. What do we always start counting by? Pennies, nickels, dimes, or quarters? You're right, we always start with pennies, and we want to go up to something that has a 0 in it. We say 2, since that's a part of our price, and then I'd count by pennies 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Once I get to 10, I have something that has a 0 in it, so I switch from pennies to, yes, dimes. I'm at 10 cents, 15.10. So then I count by tens. I'm up to 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100. 100 cents is $1. So do I have $15 or $16 now? If you said $16, you're correct. Remember, we started with $15, but this 2 cents and all these pennies and dimes, that actually adds up to another dollar. So I'm up to $16. What's the last thing that I count by? If you said dollar bills, you're correct. We're at $16. We want to go up to $20. So if I have one more dollar, that would give me $17. If I have another dollar, that would give me $18. If I have another dollar, that'd be $19. And one more dollar would give me $20, which is what I want to stop at because that is how much money I gave the cashier. Now I just need to count up the money. Can you count it up in your head? Well, the first thing you should have seen was those $4 bills, so we're going to start writing that down. Then you should have counted the dimes and said 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90. And last but not least, you counted your pennies, 91, 92, 93, 94, 95, 96, 97, 98. Altogether, your change would be $4.98. For this last problem, I want you to solve it on your own. You need to get a whiteboard, press pause, solve the problem, and when you think you have the correct answer, go ahead and start the movie again to check your work. Go ahead and press pause now. Okay, you're ready to start by checking your work. Remember, we look at the cents in our purchase price. So we have $4.17. We start with the 17 cents. What did you start by counting with? If you said pennies, that's what I would do as well. We're at 17. We want to go to something that has a 0 in it. So I'd give my penny, give me an 18 because I started with 17. So my next penny is 18. Then 19, and I want to actually go to that number that has a 0 in it. So I need one more, so I'm up to 20. Check to see that you had 3 pennies. Once I'm at 20, I can skip count by tens to get up to my next dollar. And I know that a dime is worth 10. So I'm at 20. Once I have another dime, I'd be up to 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100. Here's probably where most kids make their mistake. They forget that they started with $4, but this 17 cents and all these pennies and dimes actually brings you up to another dollar. So we're at $5. I want to go from $5 to $10. So I can start by counting my dollar bills. I'm at 5. If I have another dollar, that's 6, 7, 8, 9, and one more dollar brings me up to 10. When I add that all up together, I start with my dollar bills. I had $1, $2, $3, $4, $5. Then I go to my dimes. I had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 dimes, which is worth 80 cents. 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80. Then I ended with my pennies, 81, 82, 83. Altogether, you should have gotten a change of $5.83. If you got that, you're ready to move on to your next center. If not, watch this video again and try again.